ladies and gentlemen, this is a one-off, spur of the moment, unedited, half-hour long, 50 NL sweat session with Christophe. Enjoy. Happy viewing. Let's go.
Been a while. I'm happy to be here. I've been inspired by your series with Jürgen and Shu. Let's see if I can do as well as them. Okay, I'm gonna fold this one. Oh, also, I'm gonna fold. I could play it, but I don't feel it. Early position, King Jack offsuit. I could 3-bet.
So that's a sort of hard exploit, right? Where you're 3-betting a hand that's not a 3-bet in those positions in theory. It won't be a big swing though, and I would say against cutoff it's mandatory, and against hijack it's definitely still a good idea, just because of the exploitative side of that.
Okay, this one is small blind. He called very often. These are pocket pairs, not always. I'm gonna check this one. I could bet. I'm gonna bet this high card, and if he leads, I'm gonna probably raise. I'm gonna bet quite high. The question is, maybe I should check actually, because if he calls, I'm gonna have to bluff again, which feels rubbish. No, I'm gonna bet. I feel I could check. I'm not sure.
I think it's a mandatory bet. It's a theoretically pretty mandatory bet with that much equity. The extra straight outs there probably push it over the edge from optional bluff to pure bluff in theory. I like that you didn't go with that reason you invented, that you would have to bluff river. I don't think you do necessarily have to bluff river. The EV of the turn bet comes from folding out like king high, queen high, pocket pair, some pair on the board villain doesn't want to call with rarely. And I do think that people will overlead with an ace and 2 pair in sets. I don't think they'll trap enough. So there's 2 reasons really why this is a mandatory bet. 1, it's almost mandatory in theory with the extra outs, and 2, underprotected checking range. You can make a big bet here, and if you feel like river isn't plus EV to bet, like they've got too much ace X in that line, which they may well have, you can just check river. It's not a problem.
Okay. I'm trying to get better at marking people.
Mm-hmm.
I feel, and actually I feel that a few times it did pay off. Like slow playing big hands when I know the guy is super aggressive, I feel that this has been worth a few stacks.
Oh, definitely, yeah. If you can identify like the more MDA exploit guys, and now that you're getting into 50 NL, you know, you've played 10, you played 25, and you've been successful, now you're at 50, like you're going to start seeing other people who have been successful at running pullover in certain spots. That's not really your style, like you're more of the solid type that does really well at folding, does really well at value betting, but you can see that there are players who don't have your style that are winning in a different way, and then you can start to give them a bit more room to bluff and definitely start finding more of these slow plays in spots where, this is crucial guys, the pool is overfolding but you're not, so you're like trapping them in spots where you're perceived to be weak and overfolding. That's where these player types are going to aggress the most. We are running an all-day stream, and you're one of the guests on that, Christophe. That's Thursday the 27th of November. Don't miss it, guys. I'm going to be here at my desk from 8 until 4 p.m. Different guests, different mystery guest every hour. I've just spoiled one of them. It's this man right here, but we're going to have loads of others as well. People
You spoiled a few others yesterday, didn't you? I mean, yesterday. Today's Friday, the 21st. Like you said that Shu was going to be there, Benabat beat, if I remember correctly, and maybe Clanty. I think so. No, not sure.
Unfortunately, we did do 2 videos with Clanty, which the audience has to look forward to, but unfortunately he wasn't available for the stream. But yeah, I guess I've already spoiled it. We also have people like Daniel Negreanu, Dan Bilzerian, and Donald Trump coming on. So.
No, it wasn't Clancy. It was the streamer Ipsy or something like that. I don't know.
Easty is coming on. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You're not a loyal Easty fan, Christophe? Come on now.
The only time I saw him was on your stream. I'm a Carrot Corner fan.
Loyalist.
This one I'm gonna check. And this one I'm gonna bet. It looks like I'm betting my hands, but I feel it's more due to my range. This one, I'm just gonna fold. It's his board. I don't want to fight that one. Maybe that's a mistake, and we can discuss it later.
No, you want a higher equity bluff catcher there. Like Ace 8 is very bad. It's blocking bluffs. It has poor redraw. It has minimal redraw. It's a B75. It's his board, like you say. It'd be better to call King Queen, right, and have the second overcard than to call Ace 8 there. So it's not just about absolute hand strength hierarchy, it's about improvability. In grade 2 lectures 7 and 8, we talk about the bluff catching system. Don't know if you've got there yet in Carrot Poker School, but we define the difference between A, B, and C catchers basically based on improvability, fragility when behind, redraw. I said that already. Blockers, some other stuff as well. That hand is a grade C catcher. Grade C catchers fold against B75 unless you've got a very clear exploit that villain's over bluffing. And on that board, it's harder for them to overbluff because it is, in a sense, their board, right? So if they did that on some total brick board, like 9 deuce 3, Ace 8's far better now. The 8's a higher caliber out on 9 deuce 3. The Ace High is going to be more robust and villain could overbluff more easily on that texture. It's less possible for all of those things to happen. So I like the fold.
Okay. And on the right, I wasn't 100% convinced I should bet the turn, but I felt like there is some value to take from lots of hands. He could still have Queen Jack. He could still have a draw with a 9. He could still have a weak king. Sometimes a 10 plus a club, this type of stuff. And I don't think he's gonna raise enough. And I think if he raises, I'm gonna I don't think he's gonna raise bluff enough, so I can just bet fold.
Yeah.
And I think it's better to take the value now. And if he calls, I was probably gonna check back the river, which I'm not 100% sure, but that was my plan.
Yeah. No, I think that's fine. I think it's a very thin value bet. It's probably a very frequent check in GTO, the 6 completing some straights and stuff as well as the flush. But mostly here, you're right. Like, if you're ever in doubt against a 50NL pool, whether to thin value bet turn or check back, sizing down turn is a nice compromise, like betting half pot or something, because they're not going to react by raising. Like, when they face half pot, they're meant to take 10-9 now and be like, okay, my hand's fringe, it's indifferent, I mix some raise in now. Unlikely to happen. And yeah, I think there is some, like, when you check there, the river is also probably gigantically underbluffed, so there's some transparency on that node as well. And that's the only reason I'm torn. I can kind of see an exploit on both nodes, and I'm not sure how to calibrate that or weigh that up in game. Clanty said something interesting to me the other day. Jump back in, actually, because this isn't related to the hand. So
Okay.
sit back in. But Clanty said that his viewers like it when he's honest and says he doesn't know. So sometimes, like, yeah, I'm going to try that too. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know exactly that bet's better there, but I would say, in general, against the more passive players in pool, the half pot turn thin value denial C bet is great. But I also do think that if you check back, villain's going to be super face up on river and you're going to have a very easy time. Much easier time than you'd have against a pro or a solver.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, I also felt like, yeah, like I said, like by just betting, I don't think they will put me in very difficult decisions.
No.
Like I said, I really don't think they will ever bluff raise.
Your EV with that hand is higher whatever you do because it's an exploit on both branches, and it's just a case of like weighing those up, and that's quite hard to do.
I think this is not an open, but I'm bored. I know it's really close. And this guy was in the big blind, so probably it was good. Okay, I'm gonna see bet both boards. This one, because there is a flush draw, I'm gonna bet 75-ish. And this one is much drier. I mean, there is a flush draw, but a pair card. I don't know. When it's like that, I'm really not sure if it's big or small bet. I'm gonna do small because maybe against a fish it doesn't matter. Oh, I didn't see this guy. He check raises. I obviously can't fold, but this is super scary. But it could be a flush draw. It's gonna be interesting to see what I do if he checks next. Okay, now the flush completes, which isn't. I'm gonna check this one. And here I'm gonna check it too. I don't think I want to go in a big pot, and I'm gonna probably bet the river if he checks. If he has a spade, it might be annoying, but I don't think I can Invest now. So now a 5 makes a straight, which is annoying. Can he bluff many hands? I'm not sure. What could he have that is bluffing? I don't see much. If he had something like, I don't know, 5, any straight draw that came, any flush draw that came, why would he call with something? I don't think I'm beating anything. I have a pure bluff catcher and I don't see many bluffs. I don't think his hand is full of bluffs. So I'm gonna fold. He's capable of bluffing, this guy, but I don't see it here.
King of spades, huh? Yeah, so the bluffs are probably hands like King of Spades, Jack X, and stuff like this, but like that's so likely to just continue turn. I definitely don't expect it to snap check turn. Then again, I don't expect the flush to snap check turn either, so this is a bit curious.
Yeah, it's curious because you saw the King of
I
Spades.
know, I'm going to ignore that now. I'm going to now ignore that. I'm just sort of like feeding in my own curiosity. Going back to like your thought process, it was very good. On the turn, the snap check is very weird, like from that point of view, and I do think betting really small in that spot against the less tricky players, the more face-up players, is just a really nice way to just deny equity, just make life simple. You can sometimes thin value bet there against fish because fish will check raise more top pair on the flop as well. So against recreationals and stuff, I don't mind just betting turn small. I do think like check is normal against the reg. And on river, yes, it's very hard to have air. And when you land with a range that just doesn't have much air and has quite a lot of value on this card, I think it's totally normal just to go ahead and fold here.
Interesting. A fish opens, there is a fish in the big blind. What should I do? I'm gonna 3-bet. Oh, I've lost internet. No. Can you hear me?
Yep, we're good.
Okay.
By the way, I'll actually wait till you've played these hands and I'll tell you.
I'm gonna bet quite big this one. Come on! It's not working! Okay, this is a terrible. I'm gonna check this one. And check this one. And GG is fucked up. Okay, even worse river. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna call this one. I have some. I don't know if you have some internet issues or if it's GG that is fucked.
You sound okay on Zoom. I don't think it's your internet. I think it's GG poker.
Okay, this one I need to decide quickly. I'm gonna call because I have to, and I have no time and I don't know, but I feel terrible about it. Okay.
Wow. Just called a big bet on Jack 10-6. He called like a B75 with pocket fives, no club. I mean, that is like a absolutely hemorrhaging flop call. Insane.
And then he bluffed.
A good general rule is that when weak players, recreational players, bet half pot or less, you don't fold your bluff catcher slash maybe a value beater. Like the thing is against recreationals, like hands that shouldn't be value beaters can sometimes be value beaters. I do think that's like a bit of a close spot, but against an unknown getting 3-1, my advice to people is just don't fold. Like usually you're going to lose, usually he's going to have some king, but I think there's enough random stuff going on there, just people under like not reacting properly to the run out and things like that, that you'll do okay. It is hard to see where bluffs are coming from. There's maybe a bit of like 7-8, 8-9, and maybe someone can turn 10-9 into a bluff here. Jack 9 suited, something like this, 7s, 8s from time to time, and then they can just like randomly bet 2-pair if they're a fish because they don't know what they're doing. Like that's possible, or randomly bet a set. So at 3-1, just a shrug call. It's like a chaos call. It's like enough chaos is happening here that I can make this winning, but I'm usually taking the worst of it, and I know that like I have a bad hand, and I know that I should have a bluff catcher in theory here, but I might not.
Yeah, but I agree. A fish could have like Queen Jack.
Yeah, exactly. So you just can't go folding in spots. You can't go folding to fish in spots where you're getting good pot odds ever, really, but especially not when the board is chaos and they will have no understanding of relative hand strength. That's especially where you don't fold a hand that is a bluff catcher against a reg, basically. You don't fold it against the fish here. It could be a value beater, merge beater, that kind of thing. The other hand looks okay. We checked twice with the suited ace, yeah?
No, I bet small on the flop.
Bet for small on flop, yeah, and then we just call river. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of just random hands we beat. There's some bluffs, there's some merges, there's some chops or whatever. Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Okay. I hope it's gonna get better because this slowness is
it's quite tilting. I actually can't play poker under those conditions. Like if that ever happened to me back in the day before I was like a mostly retired player, I would just stop playing and come back when it was better, because I'll never forget the time I flopped top set in a 3-bet pot in position and timed out against a small c-bet. Like that broke my heart.
I'm gonna raise aces. I know it's a good thing to do. This one is very drawy. I'm gonna bet French 75 when I'm under the game.
So I don't think betting range 75 is really the way to go. I think you can size up on that board. I want to talk to you about c-bet sizing, actually. Just sit out after these two hands, because I want to discuss this in general with you a bit more.
I'm just here out of position 3-bet. I don't really know when I should. I feel this board is better for me. They don't have like lots of cards like the 8. And now that we're in there, I'm just gonna keep betting.
And I'll talk about aces after this hand, and then I'll circle back to like my flop stuff that I want to say.
Yeah, here I'm not really sure. Should I be trapping? Should I be whatever? I don't know. I've got no clue. I think I'm never gonna avoid putting all the money in. And what's the best way to get? I don't know.
Yep, nice hand. It's an interesting one. Like with the ace of hearts specifically, you can definitely consider checking turn, because there's less branches where villain just gets the free heart draw, basically. And you have the most invincible hand possible. You'll also see recreationals sometimes get a bit chaotic when you check to them at a low SBR. They can like lose their shit a bit there. I'm a fan of checking aces with ace of heart as a default play, betting kings without as a default play.
You mean on the flop or on the turn?
On the turn. On the turn, I'm a fan of checking your hand and then betting like the black kings pure as a default, and then like the more aggressive villain looks, the more inclined I'd be to also check the black kings, and the more passive they look, the more inclined I'd be to also bet the red aces, for example. So it's good to have a default there, though, I think. On the flop topic, right, you asked about Jack Jack X earlier. So Jack Jack X is a board where the big blind caller can beat all of your overpairs just by having one card, just by having a jack with any other card. So they have like a big nut region there that's ahead of your formerly nutted hands. So on paired boards, we size small generally. On drawy boards that are safe, where we have a big, that are currently safe, so like a board like 10-9-5 or 8-7 deuce, these dynamic boards, we tend to size up on those. You don't have to, but it is a good idea. And you have a big nut advantage on 10-9-5, 8-7 deuce, etc. And your overpairs generally have a high investment ceiling. They want to put a lot of money in on those boards. On Queen Jack 8, the problem is that it's already nutted a lot of the time. Like it's actually like functions a bit like the Jack Jack X, and the villain has some sets, 2-pair and straights, and therefore again you're not betting
Does
as
he have
nutted.
That much? Wait, sorry. You said he has some straights, and what else?
Some 2-pair, the odd set, some straight combos. Yeah.
Sets. Okay. Okay.
Not loads of sets or anything like that, but jacks. If you're early position, you can have jacks and you can have 8s.
Yeah.
So it's not clear. Queen Jack 8, you could kind of go either way. Like I don't hate a big bet, but it's moving towards like lots of made hands being possible that beat your pre-flop good hands. And when that's the case, you'll sort of see small bets. We can always size up exploitatively on a board like Queen Jack 8 because it is dynamic if we think that's right for value. And I'm a fan of that for the record. But Queen Jack 8's probably like a smaller bet board in GTO. And Jack Jack X, I don't think there's really ever a case for sizing up on the flop with anything, to be honest, exploitatively.
Okay. But I think Jack 8, I bet small, I think, right?
You were asking about like what sizing was right and stuff. Yeah, so I was just kind of answering that.
I was saying that usually 2 tones, I like to... I forgot which one. Was it this one? Yeah. two tones usually I bet 75, but because there were two jacks, I think I sized small. Yes.
Yeah, don't worry too much about the two-tone thing. I mean, a flush draw has so much equity on the flop already that betting 75 against a flush draw doesn't really achieve much with many hands in your range at all, unless you have a set or something like that. So I wouldn't worry about like sizing up because it's the flush draw. It's more you want to size up when your value hands have a high investment ceiling and want to grow the pot across lots of runouts. That's when you want to size up the flop the most.
Okay.
Okay, let's jump back in.
So sorry, can we get back to this one? So you're saying GTO would bet small, but you're okay with a big bet. Is that what you said?
I'm saying GTO would be, it would probably not be like a mandatory small bet board, but I think it would be, it wouldn't be like lots of big bets either. And that's just because of the amount of two pair and straights, mostly in the villain's range. But it's not a big deal like Jack X is. It's not a really polarizing board for them like the paired board. It's more of a mergey board for them. And so big bets are kind of defensible here still in theory. And with pocket eights, exactly, a big bet's just probably just plain highest EV against this pool because they're going to under raise the usual stuff. They're going to under react to the texture. They're going to pure call a jack, even though jack 5 is a fold here in theory. They're going to play worse against the big bet when you have two snowmen exactly. So I like it, but that's, yeah, it's not the same. Like queen jack 8 is not the same as jack 5. It's just that, like, if you have on one end of the spectrum 9-5 deuce.
No, I agree with that part.
This is for the audience's benefit, right? So one end of the spectrum 9-5 deuce, the other end of the spectrum is jack 5, queen jack 8 somewhere in the middle. Cool, let's go. Yep. It's not all about you, Christophe. Remember, there's an audience. There's always an audience.
I'm a very selfish person. Aren't we all? Aren't we all? Like I ask you, can you help me with my poker? And you always say, yes, but let's do it on stream so I can get lots of money and attract so many people to buy the carrot corner with 33% discount on Black Friday.
That's exactly what I say. And it's almost Black Friday. So roll on Thursday the 27th where you can save hundreds of pounds and even more hundreds of US dollars because that's a weaker, crappier currency on your poker education at carrotcorner.com.
Jacks. This guy, I have it as super aggressive, but these positions really stink, so I'm gonna fold.
Yep, good fold. The recreationals in the chat right now are like, oh my god, you can't fold jacks.
Okay, I've got nothing on this guy apart from a decent reg. I'm gonna bet 33. I mean, it's too... I know an ace high is 33. Now with the flush draw and the 10, maybe I should bet more. I'm not sure. Don't know if you want to discuss this.
No, you're fine. I'm fine with small bets and 3-bet pots on these boards. Again, villain's kind of polling out, right? They're hitting an ace. They have an underpair. Like they're kind of polar there. Like it's not a spot where you have this really big nut advantage, like on 8-3 deuce. It's just not that spot. So it's not really a size up spot in a 3-bet pot.
No, I know, but I meant is like ace 8-2 different from this board that we had, which was two-tone and I had the 10.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit different, but not different enough for me to... I mean, ace 10x is just a higher EV board for your range. You have a higher betting frequency, you have more good hands. So you bet more often. Ace 8-5, you play more checks, basically. You'll be more interested in checking the middle and kind of playing a small bet with a semi-polarized strategy, but on ace 10-5, you're going to play range 33, probably.
Okay, I've got him as super aggressive. He's shown a big bluff earlier. I don't know. I'm gonna fold.
I like it. You're gonna have a harder time realizing against that kind of player, and it's a big enough 3-bet that like calling just for the implied odds of the set don't feel great. Like if I want to call deuces, which is a kind of mixy break-even-y hand, maybe slightly losing in theory, I want to do it against someone that's gonna let me over realize, not someone who's gonna like force me to fold by the turn really frequently with a crap hand. So yeah, if you're deeper, you can mine, because then his over bluffing works in your favor majorly. But like when you're 100 deep and you're calling up to 9, I think it's better to call against someone passive there.
Okay, if he c-bets, I don't really know if I should raise, given that he's under the gun. I feel like not. It's a bit annoying and let him realize if he has like some kings, some queens. I mean, king queen or ace queen ace king. But I still feel it's a call. Like his position is really annoying. But I'm not 100% sure. This is very good for my range. That being said, with my hand, I don't feel it's a lead. And this is still very good for me. He has some tens. He checked back. He can still have kings, aces, queens. I don't know if I should lead for value. I think it's really close between leading and checking. I think he's key. I don't know. I'm gonna lead, but I'm not convinced. And I'm gonna fold to raise. The hand is finished. I'm gonna fold to raise, so you can talk.
Yeah, I think it's a very clear lead on river. Like, pool is going to be more condensed there. They're not going to have enough overpair. They're under. Remember, pool is underreacting to texture and overreacting to their hand generally at these stakes at 50 NL. So when someone has kings on that turn, even though an astute reg is going to see that the investment ceiling for kings is lower across runouts now, a 50 NL warrior is usually just going to be like, most of the time I still have the best hand. I bet the board's wet. So, no offense, 50 NL warriors, but that's how many you're going to be thinking here. And it's fine to bet kings on turn. It's fine to check kings on turn, by the way, for under the gun. I just think they're usually going to bet it. So that means that they land on river with a weaker range. You have higher equity. They've hit a 10 a ton because they've probably not bluffed enough with like certain king 10 combos and stuff on turn. And therefore, they're just playing second best hand really frequently here, and you're playing best hand. But because they're not uncapped enough to really be that polar here, and they're not going to be reopening river all that often, it's best just to size up. I think your sizing is too small here. I think you're under investing against a jack, a weaker 10, and when villain has 7-6, pocket 8s, pocket 7s, ace 5, ace 4, they're still going to call a big bet more often than you would think when hearts brick and they just feel like it. So be greedier on river, pure value bet into a mostly condensed range and size up to maximize EV.
Okay. And flop?
Flop, you can check raise. As you said, it's less attractive against under the gun. Having the ace of hearts increases your equity against flush draws. It makes it better to make two pair because that can't be the ace of hearts. It's more of a raise with the ace of hearts than without. A lot of people get that backwards. Basically, the earlier on in the hand you are, the more you want to take the aggressive action with the backdoor nut flush draw, and the later in the hand you are, the less that's true, especially river after it's bricked. So I don't really care whether you raise flop or call flop. I think if you raise flop, it gets very difficult and murky for you later, and therefore against under the gun specifically, unless you've studied like flop raise and how to play that spot, I'd probably err on the side of calling that hand and just raise a bit more polar and raise big. I like raising very big and very polar against early positions. So for me, I'm getting my students to build around two pair and sets there and just use a massive sizing and then use bluffs.
Okay. Yes, and that's a good point that you made. I don't know if you maybe I didn't get there in Carrot Poker School, or you don't have anything specific to that. That's super specific. But indeed, when out of position and I check raise, what to do on different runouts, especially on the turn, is something I don't know very often. Like I check raise, I don't know, a flush draw. The flush comes. What should I do? The flush doesn't come. What should I do?
Yep.
There is two draws. One of the draws completes.
Yep.
I hit it or I didn't. What should I do? I was value baiting, but I had, I don't know, a set and the flush draw came. What should I do? Like, it's really hard.
This is covered in grade 3. I forget which lecture because grade 3 is like a blur to me. But there's a lecture in there that covers this, like turn play after the flop check raise. And generally speaking, there are brick cards that give you a big nut advantage, but like poor equity, and you just like give up a lot and then go huge when you bet on those. And then there are like cards that merge your range and hit your range, and generally on like the flush card, the straight card, etc., you're going to go smaller. You're going to have more like 3 of a kind instead of, you know, the absolute nuts now. Like set on a flush turn doesn't have as big an investment ceiling across runouts now. Weak flush doesn't have a big investment ceiling because it blocks calls and is not that good and is still getting coolered. And nut flush might have a bigger investment ceiling, but it's blocking the continues really hard. So you're generally just going to be sizing down on that 3 flush turn and merging out your range and having a higher bet frequency. Some of them are even range bets for the check raiser. And on the brick turn, it's like give up a ton, follow through really big with certain equity when you past the equity threshold, and obviously value bet your thick hands again, and don't check too often when you've got the nuts because they're more condensed. So that's the lay of the land, but there's a whole grade 3 lecture on it if you want to skip
I might
ahead.
have a quick peek at it, yeah, because I feel this is a situation that is super frequent, and I don't know what to do every time the turn shows.
Yep.
And despite me having overpaid it, I think I used the community 30 back in April or May. So I only had a 30% discount.
You made the mistake of getting the Carrot Poker School before we became friends, right? You should have befriended me first, and then who knows, you might have got it for free.
Yeah, but I think you should always pay people for their work.
That means I should pay you for all the bridge coaching. That's going to get expensive.
No, because you help me with my poker, or at least you think you do. Anyway, what should I do here? I don't know. I missed completely. This hits him so much. The 8 is not good for me. I think I'm giving up, and I think I'm still giving up. If I check here, I'm never gonna win because he's gonna bluff. This guy is gonna bluff, but I don't think it's mine.
So you have to kind of decide what that king is doing in that spot. Like if you were under the gun, for example, I think it's a clear bluff with ace queen because like your range is just so strong now on this run out and you're so starved of air. If you were like small blind, ace queen is probably just still like just about showing down for 10-15% pot, something like that. In this position, as you say, there'll be very little showdown value. And a lot of villains range here is going to be 5s and 6s and things like this and 9s. I don't mind turning this hand into a bluff, honestly. I think it's okay. If you think it's got low showdown value, the king river is always going to guarantee you a decent amount of fold equity. The worry is that like an astute reg realizes that you're very polar to like a king or nothing and that you're over bluffing, and it might be a good give up against like a hand reading reg, and it might be a good bluff against like a autopiloty weaker reg or fish, basically. But anyway,
yeah, this is one of the reg I play the most against, and I find him quite decent.
Yep.
So that's why I said I have 0 showdown value. I know if he had a bluff, he's gonna bluff. I mean, if he missed, he's gonna bluff. I had 0 showdown value.
Yeah.
0.
And if you want to be selective about your bluffs, like think about what do I want to have, what do I not want to have. If you have 0 showdown value with ace queen, I'd rather have ace queen than ace 5, because if I've got ace 5, I block 5s, right? I don't want to block a low pocket pair. That's like where he's most likely to fold. So I'm probably more inclined to bet here with, like, the thing is with queen jack, you'll have bet the turn a lot with that hand, so you're not going to have tons of queen jack and stuff here. So you probably do, if you want to balance, quote unquote, which is never our first priority at Carrot Corner, but if you did, you'd probably want to pick this hand over something with a low blocker if you were sure that the hand had 0 check EV. I've got to wrap up. I've got to get in my car and drive to meet my friend now, have some lunch, gonna have some McDonald's burgers without the buns. That's called Dirty Keto. More about that when I next stream. And I think you played well today, Christophe. I think you've been a star. You've played well. You've articulated your thoughts well. Your game's going from strength to strength. You want to be like Christophe. You want to get better at cards. Black Friday sales coming up. Do tune in on the 27th for our all-day stream with multiple very famous guests like Doyle Brunson. Oh wait, no, he can't make it. Christophe's there. Other people will be there. We'll see you for that. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.